All right, let me talk to you a few minutes about something quite shocking for most of you, but I do hope you'll listen because there's some point to what I'm saying here. The rules of philandering. Okay, we all know what philandering means, I hope. Playing around sexually, having different partners, not being faithful. There's only one rule that means anything about philandering, and that is don't break up your relationship because of it. Now, this is one of those 180-degree rule things, where the truth or the workability is exactly the opposite of what people think. Out there, if someone's caught being unfaithful, all the news item harpies and the news anchors, they all jump on it, howling like hyenas. Oh, she's got to divorce him now. Look what a terrible thing she did. I hope she gets all his money. Take him to the cleaners. Never a thought for the child who might be losing their daddy, for example. Never a thought for the wife who's going to lose the one person she loved. It's not necessary. Why is it not necessary? Because societies all around the world and all over history have all gone through this process and had views about it that were not destructive. The westernized Christian, I don't think it even is Christian, because Christianity is supposed to be based on forgiveness. But, if you can't forgive a person, then you're going to give yourself a hard time. On the converse, I've seen so many couples where they've got through this and the wife was shocked and hurt, but then realized, he did what he did, but I still love him. And, we still have a worthwhile relationship. We've got a lovely child. She'd have to shut her ears to all the howling hyenas and friends who would say, no, you must divorce him, you must, that's evil, how could he do such a terrible thing? Yeah, it really upsets me because, A, it's not so terrible. There are societies and have been societies where infidelity was part of the way of life. If you look at the beautiful Hawaiian, Polynesian peoples, I should say, until the Christian missionaries got at them and made everything vicious and evil, they had a very open society. Everybody made love to everybody else and everybody was happy and healthy because of it. In fact, it shocks people when they learn that in Polynesia, they had no idea where babies came from because everybody was having sex with everybody else all the time, and once in a while this beautiful child was born, which everybody loved and everybody shared, not just the parents. But then along came these white Christian, it wasn't the Christians that did it, of course, they behaved themselves on the whole, but the white sailors showed up in their boats and started having sex with the natives. They suddenly realized that, not very long, a few months after she'd been with a white man, a funny-colored baby was born. So, they're not stupid. Pretty soon they put two and two together and realized that babies were made by the union between man and wife. But up to that point, people were still married, but it was fine if you went to somebody's home and the husband said, look, I'm not in the mood tonight. Would you like to go to bed with my wife? I don't know what the wordings used were, but, it was common currency. And it did not destroy that society. It was one of the happiest and healthiest societies in the world till the Christians got at them, made them cover themselves up, feel ashamed of nakedness, learned that sex and filth was evil and only despicable people did it. It was slightly allowed a little bit maybe for married couples to do some of it, as long as you didn't enjoy it too much. It kind of destroyed everything. And there are other societies like that. We all know and love the Dalai Lama, but do you know that the Buddhist society that he was head of believed in polyandry? That's a woman having lots of husbands. It didn't trouble them. They were happy and well until the Chinese showed up. Seriously, I mean, even the British didn't knock them off and spoil that one. But that's the kind of Buddhist society that our beloved Dalai Lama was part of. So you've got to get rid of this preachy, Christianized attitude that it's filthy, it's bad, it's evil. It isn't. It's just something that happens. And hey, it's biology. So at the end of the day, it's something that God from on high, whatever you believe Mother Nature to be, or our origins or the divine, set for us, which is that we were told to go out and procreate. That's how we get more humans, more babies. But like I said, the cultural norm now has become one of hatred and bitterness and division, and you must split up. You must screw him for every last penny that you can get out of him. And then you take away the child and spend the next 10 years poisoning the child's view of her father. That's what you're supposed to do. Well, it's not what you're supposed to do, but it is what people do. And I regret it very much. It's a very, very poor response. I know so many couples that have got through this. I know couples where it's even made them stronger. Listen, one of the key arguments about infidelity is, I'll take the woman's side first. If your husband wants to go off and sleep with another woman, what is he not getting from you that makes him want to do that? Most women are not honest enough to ask themselves that question. And most people, for their friends, would answer, well, it's him that's the beast. It's not that you that didn't deliver. But look, how many of us have seen, I've seen it thousands of times, a beautiful woman gets married, she's gorgeous, she dresses chic and looks sexy and stunning. And then within 6 months of the marriage, she's sitting around in a sweatsuit, slobbing around, getting fatter and fatter. And because she's so engrossed with the children, often is neglecting the husband anyway. So it's often a very bum contract for the husband. Turn it the other way around. The husband, he was perhaps a catch. He was a successful person in business. And then the girl likes him, she agrees to marry him and start having babies, but he won't respond after that. And pretty soon, within 2 or 3 years, he's slobbed out on the sofa, a couch potato, piling on the weight and grunting in monosyllables while he downs a couple of beers and watches the football match. There's nothing in that for the woman either. So it cuts both ways. What is that man not giving his wife that she felt entitled to? Because you see, in a way, it's a contract. If you marry a sexy, beautiful girl, that's a contract. So if she doesn't any longer bother putting on makeup, won't wear lipstick, lets her hair all frizz out, she's actually broken what's technically a contract, really. So the husband is entitled to say, all right, the contract's off, she's not doing her bit, I'll go and find a little piece of woman, crumpet or woman on the side that can give me what I do want. And vice versa, okay? I'm not trying to make the gender point of view. I hope you are understanding that, first of all, it's not a good reason to break up. Secondly, if you don't look after your half of the bargain, you're almost, as it were, pushing your spouse or your partner towards infidelity. You are no longer giving what you committed to, and he or she isn't getting what they're expecting. And of course, it cuts both ways. It's very rare that it's one partner's a beast and the other one is just a saint or an angel. Doesn't work like that. But what I'm telling you is it is well worthwhile struggling through these times, being willing to say, okay, something has clearly gone wrong here. Let's sit down and figure out what the underlying causes are. Otherwise, you find a situation where nothing gets solved anyway. You take the baggage from the first relationship to your second relationship. And don't forget, if you're going out and being unfaithful with let's say a woman's going out and being unfaithful with a man, you need to understand that man is going to do the same to you at some stage. He's obviously a dishonest, corrupt person. He's quite happy to steal somebody's wife, so he'd be quite happy to steal somebody else's wife and do the dirty on you while they're at it at the same time. So don't get smug about this and don't think, oh, I'll run off into this new life and it'll be wonderful and happy, because it very likely won't. They're going to be the same problems, health problems, financial problems, kiddies' health, the same sort of situations. And in the sort of exploratory early days of an affair, shall we say, the lover looks good because he doesn't have to get involved in all the day-to-day things. He isn't troubled and stressed and maybe, angry and not together about the financial issues or the fact that he's just lost his job. Here's this lover who still has a job, so of course he looks more attractive in the short term. But it's not really a fair call. You're trying to compare two things which in fact are not alike. A stressed long-term spouse or a long-term lover relationship that's been tested almost to destruction. You can't compare that directly with some wonderful fairy story like dreamy, imagined romance that you're going to get with this lover. Okay, so maybe a shocking one here, but I do want to put these attitudes very firmly in your mind because it's one of the great destructive reasons why relationships crash and break up. There is no need, but people go through this pantomime drama that they believe they are supposed to. You are supposed to lash out and say hurtful things. Listen, I know of a woman who went to her husband's work and burst in on a boardroom meeting and say, how can you have this treacherous louse as somebody on your board? How can you trust it? She had to be dragged out practically kicking and screaming from the board meeting. Trying to destroy another person in this way is really, it's worse than animals behave. A wild animal that's cornered will lash out, as you know. But it's not very humanoid behavior. It's not spiritual. It isn't worthy of the name love and trust. You need to have a bigger picture of things, and I encourage you to do that. It will change your view about people you've been engaged with in the past and what you suppose or pretend to yourself that they did to you, and you were just ever so innocent you didn't do nothing. Well, almost certainly you did, otherwise you'd still be in that relationship, right? So am I saying that relationships must never end, that relationships go on forever and ever, no matter how much patching up and repair work you have to do, that a relationship is always good and always viable? No, of course I'm not. The whole point about a relationship is the two people working together, there has to be mutual harmony and trust, but not just, getting along harmony. There has to be some kind of growth, some progress or some meaning. Often that meaning is the children, but not necessarily. But there may come a time when a relationship just isn't giving either party any more succor or sustenance, nourishment, just isn't happening anymore, and it might be good to consider breaking up. Now, I'm giving you a whole series of ways in which you can actually heal love and maybe prevent that happening, but it has to be said there are times when nothing's going to work. I suppose the commonest being when it's a sort of one-sided thing. Only one of the partners would like the thing to continue. The other one is completely out of it, doesn't want to know, doesn't care, won't communicate, and so on. It's still the same rule applies, which is that you have to break up intelligently if you must. It's very important to try and preserve whatever values have been achieved in the relationship and to be able to release the other person, or if you're doing it together, to release each other in a sufficient state of mind to have a better future. You don't want to end a relationship in such a way that it's so bitter and acrimonious and so full of spite and bad behavior that the person ends up really wounded and hurt, and you may impair a person's chance of finding some successful ongoing relationship. Indeed, you might damage your own chance of finding a happy, new and fulfilling relationship if you do it wrong. It's very important to follow this line of thinking. Don't resist the temptation to be nasty and abusive and lash out, and think, what can we do together to make this not so damaging? I know some of you out there that you live and breathe this and you would think like that, but I've got to tell you, the majority take it as a cue. Things have gone wrong, we're going to break up. They take it as a cue to be able to be as vicious and nasty as you want, and I have every entitlement. You were bad to me, I didn't do anything, it's all your fault, and therefore I can be nasty, evil, I can spite you behind your back, I can trash your reputation, I can steal money from the relationship, and God help you, if I get the kids, I'm going to poison them against you so they never want to speak to you for the rest of your life. And of course, it's often the kids, as we know, and one of the partners running off with the kids, having custody and then being spiteful against the other person. It shows us a terrible lack of concern for the children, because it is a time of great trauma for children to see their beloved parents breaking up. They're often bewildered. They don't understand it. All they know is mummy and daddy are going through this trauma and being absolutely awful to each other. Why does mummy say those things? Why does daddy do those things to mummy, and so on? It can be a complete upheaval obviously it's an upheaval for the children. But what I mean is, so many people take it on themselves that this is a time when I'm going to be as nasty as I can, and I don't care who gets hurt, as long as it isn't me, of course. Even if the kid, will damage the kids if I have to, I'm going to get back at him or her. These are poor behaviors. These are indeed animal, subhuman behaviors. They're not worthy. As I said, you've got to, you should be able to sit down together, talk it through, and come up with a plan which will disentangle your lives gently and easily, and where you definitely create a future where you'll be seeing each other and be friends with each other. Listen, I know, as I say, for a few of you, I'm speaking to the choir, but for the majority, I'm not. And I'm trying to urge you that, first of all, don't break up for the simple and obvious reasons. It's far too hasty. Do your best to repair things as I've been outlining, but if you must, then please do it right. Take time, take trouble, take the care, and give the love. Remember, you might feel love has come to an end in that relationship, but it's not about love. In other words, not about the love you're getting from the relationship. It's about the love you're giving, and that's always under your control. You can control how much love you show and manifest, and I hope by now, by this stage in your series, you realize the more you give, the more you're going to get. You will be loved by, the cosmos, the divine, or whatever, if you behave intelligently and lovingly, if you behave like a louse. Don't be surprised if in the next subsequent years or the next 2 or 3 relationships you get badly hurt because you sowed your own seeds. Okay, I hope you find these wise words useful. It's one of the worst times in a relationship when you're facing breaking up. It can be very hard and it can seem all very negative and hurtful and consuming. But a lot of that is up to you and how you behave. And remember, as Shakespeare said, nothing is either good or bad, but that thinking makes it so. So it's up to you to choose whether to manifest and dramatize these nasty emotions. It's your choice. Or you can choose to be nice and kindly and wise and loving. And trust me, the latter will do you the most good in the long run. Okay, I hope these words have struck home. Thank you.